The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, called on the Christian community in the United States to unite in prayers for the peace in the continent. The People's Summit concluded in Brazil with the delivery of its final declarations to the COP30 presidency. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, UNRWA, has denounced Israel's force limiting the entry of humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip, which is exacerbating the humanitarian crisis. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Belem from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro participated in the prayer meeting for peace in the face of threats of aggressions in the Caribbean that undermine the sovereignty and peace of the people. President Maduro called on the Christian community and the U.S. to unite in prayers for the peace of the continent. He also emphasized the importance of coherence and actions in times of prayers and reflections where communities around the world raise their voices for peace in the nation. He also thanks all the religious leaders who participated in the prayer meeting for peace in Venezuela for asking God for the peace of the country and the well-being of all Venezuelans. It is worth noting that prayers and reflections were aimed at spreading national unity and sent in a message of unity in the face of interference by the U.S. empire. In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro denounced the governments of Trinidad and Tobago for its submissiveness to the United States and its anxious support for its crimes in the Caribbean. The Venezuelan leader rejected the actions of the government of Port of Spain, which the Trump administration to conduct military exercises off the coast of Venezuela. The head of state described the maneuvers as irresponsible and emphasized that they represent a threat to peace in the Caribbean. President Maduro expressed his rejection of the imperialist policies of the U.S. government, which seeks to impose a puppet regime in Venezuela in order to steal all its natural resources and undermine peace throughout Latin America.
El gobierno de Trinidad y Tobago,
the government of Trinidad and Tobago has once again announced irresponsible exercises, lending its waters off the coast of the state of Sucre for military exercises intended to be threatening to a republic like Venezuela, which will not be threatened by anyone. They say they will do this from Monday to Thursday. Well, the people of Trinidad and Tobago will see if they continue to endure the use of its waters and its lands to seriously threaten the Caribbean peace. I am only calling, once again, to all the people of the eastern states, from the south of Bolívar, of the Tamacuro, Monagas, Sucre, Anzoátegui, Nueva Esparta, in perfect popular military-policial fusion, to establish a vigil and a permanent march in the streets with the flag of Venezuela held high. The Great Vigil and the Great March of the Flags, I am calling it here from Caracas.
Over 50,000 people attend the all-school reggaeton concert at the Monumental Stadium in Caracas, Venezuela. During the event, 8 of the most iconic figures who defined the golden era of reggaeton performed, including Ivy Queen, Tito el Bambino, and Alexis and Fido. The musical group Double Impacto opens the concert with various songs recognized by the audience. The authorities in charge of the prevention and citizen security implement strategies to ensure the safety and tranquility of attendees during the concert of these iconic personalities. Cuba received 30 tons of food from China to assist victims of Hurricane Melissa in the eastern region of the island. The supplies will be distributed in the areas most affected by the natural disaster, which, although it did not cause any fatalities, left thousands of homes completely destroyed in its wake. During the reception, China stated that the government and people of China expressed their deep solidarity with the victims. In Cuba, recovery after the passage of Hurricane Melissa through the eastern provinces advanced thanks to joint efforts of lineman brigades from several provinces and the solidarity and support of Venezuela. Our correspondent Isabel Diaz brings us the details.
They are the face of the solidarity that bonds Cuba and Venezuela. Having become a true hurricane of love, they are supporting the recovery efforts following the meteorological event that struck the east of the largest island in the Antilles more than 2 weeks ago.
When we arrived here, the disasters were much worse than anything we had already seen. We were asked to attend to some circuits in the municipality of Santiago and this 33 kilowatts line, which supplies the municipality of Goma, specifically Chivirico, which is its municipality capital. With a fairly considerable population scattered along the entire route from Santiago to Chivirico, approximately 60 or 30 kilometers, there are several settlements, all of which receive power through this line and are currently affected. We arrived here several days ago and have been working on the power line ever since. First, we arrived and did a reconnaissance. Then we started working with what little we had because at first there was nothing except what we could find. And we started to repair it. The welcome was very good. We feel comfortable here. They have treated us wonderful and we can't complain about anything. And well, we decided to come and we are going to work and help the people, the Cuban people here.
Electricity sector professionals who, under the relentless sun, perform daily feats to restore service as quickly as possible to the more than 34,000 residents of the Guama municipality in Santiago de Cuba.
Estamos trabajando en conjunto y estamos aprendiendo como sea.
We are working together and learning as much as we can, sharing knowledge from them to us and from us to them. We are getting used to their working methods because they have a different system to us. But we are getting there. We are doing well.
Nosotros por acá, de mucho agradecimiento de todos los trabajadores de la línea de...
We would like to express our deep gratitude to all the power line workers in our province, from other provinces and neighboring countries, for their gesture of solidarity with all those affected here in our municipality. Despite the fact that we have not yet restored electricity service, they are working hard with great dedication and sacrifice from all these people.
Today, under the watchful eye of national and local authorities, Santiago de Cuba is moving forward with the rehabilitation of its electrical networks as a top priority, joining forces in difficult times.
12 Venezuelan brothers join us in the repair work of the 5335 subtransmission circuit. Together with us, we are rehabilitating that line, putting up the poles, climbing the conductors, which are heavy conductors, and little by little we are rehabilitating everything as quickly as possible.
Thus, Cuba and Venezuela write together a page of resilience and brotherhood, demonstrating the strength of the bonds that unite both peoples. With camera by Jose Hierro,
Isabel Díaz González, teleSUR, Santiago de Cuba.
Welcome back from the south. On its final day, the People's Summit, which took place in parallel with the first week of UN Climate Conference COP30, concluded with the delivery of its final declaration. Over 1,100 organizations from around the world participated in this global gathering, which brought together thousands of activists from all continents in the city of Belem do Pará. The event aims to pressure global leaders and negotiations present in Brazil to adopt effective actions in the face of climate emergency, which participants urge is largely the responsibility of major transnational corporations. We go to Chile, where elections are underway where citizens are voting to elect the successor to President Gabriel Boric, as well as national deputies and senators from 7 regions in the country. More than 15 million citizens are eligible to elect Boric's successor from the 2026-2030 term. For these polling stations open at 8 a.m. local time and will close at 6 p.m. provided there are no voters waiting to cast their ballots. It'll be noted until the evening when the first official results are shared. Chilean President Gabriel Boric cast his vote on Sunday morning in the 2025 general elections that will determine his successor, while the left-wing leader has avoided speaking directly about what will happen to his administration in a potential runoff election. In statements to the press on Sunday, he reiterated that Chile is a beautiful and exemplary country and assured he is proud of the democratic day, thus responding to the negative tone used by the opposition candidates to criticize the government. Moreover, Boric used the occasion to encourage citizens' participation. For her part, the presidential candidate of the ruling left-wing coalition, a member of the Communist Party, Janet Jara, voted at the poet Federico Garcia Lorca High School in the municipality of Conchalí in Santiago de Chile. Upon voting, Jara called on citizens to come out and vote and support her candidacy if the results trigger a runoff. The 51-year-old candidate of the left-wing bloc plus the Christian Democrats leads the polls and represents continuity with the current government. In Ecuador, the referendum and popular consultation called by President Daniel Noboa is underway. According to updates from the National Electoral Council, all polling stations have been set up as normal. So far, 12% of eligible voters have cast their ballots. In addition, electoral authorities have reported that voting abroad, which took place in countries such as Australia, South Korea, Japan, and Indonesia, has concluded. Let's recall that over 13 million citizens are called to take part in the referendum and popular consultations that submit 4 proposals to the population for consideration. This has been criticized by the Ecuadorian people because they put national sovereignty, political representation, and accurate rights at risk. In this context, citizens have complained about the violation of secret ballotings and acts of intimidation during the exercise of their right to vote.
The ballot box, instead of being positioned facing the voter because it's supposed to be a secret vote, is open to the entire room. And when I complained, the people inside sent a soldier to check, and they turned the ballot box around again, which is prohibited because the vote is supposed to be secret. That is intimidation because what I was saying is something that is established by law. So if instead of correcting what is wrong, they immediately send a soldier at you, that is called intimidation.
The Honduran people began a large mobilization in the department of Olancho in support of the presidential candidate Rixi Moncada. Ahead of the November 30 presidential elections, the people ratified their support for Moncada, who is bringing a message of hope for the country. The candidate for Libre Party promised to continue to work started by the President Xiomara Castro, reaffirming her struggle for the construction of a democratic socialism. The candidate is proposing the creation of programs for health and education, dignified work for young people, and increasing support for producers. The government of Honduras welcomes the reduction of U.S. tariff on agricultural products. The measure reduces export taxes on products such as coffee, meat, cocoa, tomatoes, and bananas, and also eliminates the application of reciprocal taxes that range from 10 to 50%. In this regard, the Honduran Foreign Minister emphasized that Washington's decisions represents a new employment opportunities for Honduran producers. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for the Palestine Refugees, UNRWA, has denounced Israel for limiting the entry of humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip, which is exacerbating the humanitarian crisis. The UN agency warned that the restrictions imposed by Israel are intensifying the crisis due to the lack of food and medicine. It also warned that most of the population consumes contaminated water, causing outbreaks of hepatitis, meningitis, intestinal and respiratory diseases, as well as increasing kidney failure and cancer. In this regard, the organizations condemn the obstacles placed by Israel's forces to provide assistance to the Palestinians, emphasizing that the humanitarian aid received is not sufficient to alleviate the crisis in the territory. Precisely in this context, the World Health Organization reported that over 900 Palestinian patients have died in the Gaza Strip while waiting to be medically evacuated due to the Israeli restrictions. According to the organizations, the patients were waiting to receive medical care outside Gaza but could not be treated. It is also stated that around 16,000 patients are still waiting for approval for evacuation, including 4,000 children who urgently need medical transfer to save their lives. In France, two major television networks went off on there due to a bomb threat that leads to evacuations and police deployment. An individual called a police station claiming that he had placed an explosive device in the building of the media company where the television network BFM TV and RMC are based and threatened to blow up the place. In this context, police rushed to the scene, evacuated the staff, and reduced several inspections, but found no bomb. The authorities state that if the person responsible for the message is found, they could face up to 2 years in prison and a heavy fine. Let's recall that these threats came 2 days after France commemorated the attacks of November 13, 2015, in which 132 people died. Thousands of people marched in Skopje, the capital of Macedonia, to demand justice for the 63 victims who died in a nightclub fire last March. The demonstrations took place prior to the trial of 34 individuals and 3 companies accused of incidents classified as the deadliest fired in the country's history. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, X, and on Instagram as well. For telesur English and from the south, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.